When I was going through the process to be ordained as a deacon or probationary member of the United Methodist Church, I had my interview with the Conference Board of Ordained Ministry, during which I was asked, if I had to choose, would I choose pastoral ministry or prophetic ministry? That's a false dichotomy. In my mind, being involved in social justice or prophetic ministry is part and parcel of my calling as a pastor. Prophetic ministry is about standing up for justice and peace, speaking out against injustice, working for the good of all people. Its roots are in the Scriptures, both the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible. Some examples out of the many are this. The prophet Amos in chapter 5, verses 21 through 24, speaking for God, said, I despise your festivals, and I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. And the offerings of well-being of your fat animals I will not look upon. Take away from me the sound of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harps. But let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Micah chapter 6, verses 6 through 8 say this, With what shall I come before the Lord, and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before God with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? God has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justice, and to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. There are hundreds and hundreds of verses telling us how God cares for the poor and the sick and the outcasts. Jesus himself reached out beyond the bounds of his cultural norms to surround himself with people who his society considered sinners. He criticized their leaders for their lack of justice, calling them whitewashed tombs, dead inside, and condemned them as broods of vipers. He overturned the tables of money changers in the temple because they were taking advantage of people. He challenged and challenges us to love one another above and beyond what our society says. In the Matthew 25 parable, Jesus reminds us, whatever you did or did not do for the very least of people, you did or did not do for me. But faith is not just about caring for those with needs. It's also about dismantling the systems of injustice that keep people oppressed. On the United Methodist Church webpage that's found at www.umc.org, there is a post called, What is Social Justice? One of the quotes is from Randy Rasmus, who said, Social justice relates to the struggle for equality among all people groups, in spite of race, gender, age, sexual orientation or gender expression, religion, nationality, education, and mental or physical ability. I love all of God's children, including those with whom I disagree. As a pastor, I want to and do care for all people. I know that sometimes my social justice beliefs can become a barrier for some people. That's unfortunate. My prayer is that we can be united as one, as followers of Jesus, caring for all people, working to create justice where there is none, breaking down the walls of hatred, racism, sexism, all the isms that keep people oppressed. My prayer is that we would truly love one another. In the letter of James, we hear the challenge to put our faith into action every day. And that affects all aspects of our lives, from where we put our money to how we vote. James chapter 1, verse 22 says, "Be doers of the word, and not merely hearers who deceive themselves." And chapter 2, verse 26 says, "Just as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead." We are expected and called to put our faith into action every day. One of my favorite hymns in the United Methodist hymnal is one that we don't use very often, "O Young and Fearless Prophet." The words by S. Ralph Harlow, written in 1931 and relevant today, are before you, but I'd like you to hear the verses. "O young and fearless prophet of ancient Galilee, thy life is still a summons to serve humanity, to make our thoughts and actions less prone to please the crowd, to stand with humble courage for truth with hearts uncowed. We marvel at the purpose that held thee to thy course, while ever on the hilltop before thee loomed the cross. Thy steadfast face set forward where love and duty shone, while we betray so quickly and leave thee there alone. Oh, help us stand unswerving against war's bloody sway, where hate and lust and falsehood hold back Christ's holy sway. Forbid false love of country that blinds us to his call, who lifts above the nations the unity of all. Stir up in us a protest against our greed for wealth, while others starve and hunger and plead for work and health, where homes with little children cry out for lack of bread, who live their years sore burdened beneath a gloomy dread. O young and fearless prophet, we need thy presence here, amid our pride and glory, to see thy face appear, once more to hear thy challenge above our noisy day, again to lead us forward along God's holy way. Christ calls us. Christ challenges us to be faithful followers in all that we say and all that we do. We know that we will make mistakes sometimes, but we are forgiven and given a chance to begin again and keep moving forward in faith and in hope and in love. We are challenged to keep working for a world where all people are equal, loved, accepted, welcomed, supported, cared for. A world where the systems of hatred and racism are dismantled, where justice becomes the norm for all. May it be so. Amen.